fell in love, but I am not in love with you.
So y'all seem to really like it when I broke things into chapters a couple videos ago. I'm bringing that back, because this is probably gonna be long. Sorry. I'll share the time signatures on screen and in the description for the parts this video is going to be broken into. Part 1, my top surgery status. Part 2, my journey questioning top surgery. Part 3, why I think people should be allowed to question things and change their minds. In Part 4, my favorite part, I'll put some other cute folks on the screen and you can listen to their stories about a time they changed their mind about something. Maybe their identity, maybe their transition path, whatever.
Hi! I changed my mind.
And I changed my mind.
So I've changed my mind.
So I changed my mind.
I just recently came out, like, literally today and yesterday. Ooh, stressed.
They are the cutest. If you watch any section of this video, that is the section to watch. Do it. So hello everyone, I'm Ash, and I'm getting top surgery July 5th. This is being recorded on June 14th. Right, for context. Currently, I am 99.9% sure that I am not going to change my mind, and I'm confident that after surgery, my dysphoria will substantially subside, and I'll probably feel a major spike in gender euphoria. I am incredibly stoked. Stoked feels like a massive understatement. In my mind, my surgery date cannot come sooner. My body and my soul are ready. All that being said, I want to disclose that I have not always been so sure, and I want to talk about that. Sometimes I think trans folks feel like they aren't allowed to question things. Otherwise, it's a sign that they aren't really trans. If there is even a pebble of doubt, or if they haven't been pining for, say, a flat chest since birth, then they clearly don't want it enough. They should drop it, quit exploring the possibility, keep their boobs, end of story, full stop. Let's rewind several years. Some of you may recall that I didn't actually come out as non-binary. I came out as confused as fuck. Question 1. How do you self-identify your gender and what does that mean to you? I have recently been questioning this a lot lately. I don't know. While I identify ultimately as a woman, I'm super gender variant, and some days I actually feel pretty agender. Additionally, I have a strong connection to the word demigirl, but I don't know if any of these feelings are extreme enough to ID as non-binary, bi-gender, or just not cis. That was pretty cute. I also didn't come out as for sure wanting double incision. I came out as having chest dysphoria and wondering if medical intervention could help alleviate that. Again, not definitely wanting, just allowing myself to consider what that might look like. So I should be working right now. I'm making props for tomorrow's video, but I probably just spent like an hour watching non-binary top surgery results. I definitely had this in my mind for a while about whether or not I would want to do that. I know this. This is what I know for sure. I don't like the size of my chest. I know that for certain. I'm so sure of that. That's why I bind whenever I can. I even initially contemplated having a simple breast reduction. And then another thing is I can't decide if I want top surgery or a breast reduction. I feel like I really can't decide. I keep flip-flopping because I think what I really want actually is top surgery, but I'm really afraid that I'm really worried about how I will react to the scars. Society already thinks I'm so, weird, that if I, purposely put scars on my body, I feel like it's just, an excuse for them to point and think that's bizarre and strange and even weird. There's a lot of shame happening right now. So like I said, what I think I really want is top surgery, but I'm afraid of the scarring. And if you get a breast reduction, a significant breast reduction, you will also have scars, but they will be hidden by your boob. I'm wondering if I should do that, because I feel like a breast reduction would be the safe route, but I feel like top surgery might be what I want. This notion was very much born out of having little to no representation out there of the body I wanted. I think one of the things that's holding me back is the fact that there aren't that many people out there. There's probably 10 people on YouTube who have done the thing and shown their results. Because I don't see a lot of people who do that, it makes me feel like it's not allowed, which is incorrect. Or I think to myself, maybe the fact that not that many people have done this shows that it's a bad idea. I'm an AFAB, non-binary, not traditionally very manly person who doesn't want a chest. We're a very small club, there's not many of us. Almost all the post-op chest reveals on YouTube are either binary trans guys or non-binary humans on testosterone. Not seeing what seemed right for me in very many places, if anywhere, made me feel like it wasn't a valid option. Did you know if you search "I'm questioning my gender" on YouTube, nothing real pops up? There are only 4 results, 3 of them are random, and 1 is Mimi. No one really comes out as, or is open about, not knowing their gender, not knowing who they are. And when folks do come out as not cis on YouTube, it's usually an assured proclamation, followed by their plan of action, something like this. I need to tell you all that I am a trans guy, and I've already been on hormones for almost 2 weeks now. This is who I am, and you need to know because changes are coming quick. Or, I am a trans woman. I'm totally sure I've always known from a very young age, and I'm starting my medical transition as soon as I can. It's going to happen. Welcome to it. Those situations are both super valid and awesome. They're just not how I was at all. I knew I had a lot of strong feelings and dysphoria, but making sense of it, figuring out what it all meant, who I was, and how I wanted to transition, if I wanted to transition, was a messy process. I was especially scared to be open about my hesitations and curiosities for top surgery because I was afraid, 1, people would use it as an excuse to invalidate my transness, 2, they would try everything they could to talk me out of it, because any kind of waffling meant that surgery definitely wasn't for me. These fears were 100% valid. Those things did happen. Last year on my second channel, I posted a video talking about how I wasn't committing to anything, but I wanted to meet with a doctor just to have a consult to get more information about double incision. In the video, I was so excited about this idea because there is nothing permanent about a consult. There are no consequences, literally nothing changes, with the exception of the patient knowing more about what they may or may not be getting into. I've made a decision within myself, and I think it really feels like the right decision. This decision has no consequences. It's not like I'll make this decision and my life is forever changed. This decision is simply to acquire information so I can make a more informed decision about a real thing that could have consequences later down the line. So, a while ago I made a video about top surgery and about how I desire it, or how I think I desire it. I'm unsure. And it turns out, I didn't know this, that a lot of people, trans guys, trans masculine people, non-binary people who want surgery, a lot of people who think about having surgery are not totally sure at first. And I didn't think that was the case. I used to think that all trans guys, always knew they wanted top surgery, and they never questioned it, and they did it as fast as they could, and as soon as the surgery was done, they felt amazing. It was euphoric and fantastic. But so much of that is inaccurate. Surprise, I learned that the trans narrative isn't the same for everyone. But a thing I decided, it was a big decision. I am going to get a top surgery consultation. I'm going to sit down with a doctor and talk about it. Nothing is set in stone, nothing is irreversible from having a consultation. I'm still not sure whether or not I want to have surgery. I think I do. But even saying that kind of scares me. I'm so scared that I'm going to go to this consultation and then time will pass and I will decide that the surgery is not for me. Like I said, I don't think that's going to happen, but it might. And just the possibility of that scares me because I don't know why, but I'll feel kind of like a fool for having done the consultation. I'll feel like a fool kind of for talking to you guys about it. But the reality is I'm not a fool. It's okay to wonder things. It's okay to question things. It's okay to explore things. And I have attached this shame to not being sure, but there shouldn't be. Some individuals took issue with this though. There were even video responses about how I was making the biggest mistake of my life. How can questioning something, reflecting thoughtfully about it, and getting better educated in order to make the right decision, how is that a bad thing? What the heck? It all goes back to this mentality of, unless you are 10,000% certain, unless you would bet the life of your favorite cat, then you're probably not trans/transition isn't for you. Because you gotta know. There is no space made for people who are thinking, exploring, being curious, or just who don't totally know yet. Instead, ambiguous, uncharted, and/or still developing identities are often met with a lot of shame, invalidation, and gatekeeping. I was also afraid to voice my top surgery ponderings because 3, if I changed my mind and decided it wasn't for me, rather than being supportive and saying, "Cool, Ash, glad you got that sorted and discovered it wasn't the route for you. High five." I worried people online would say, "See, I told you, attention-seeking trans trender. Of course you don't actually want surgery, you deluded narcissist." People on the internet are mean, but what's new? If I talked about it and then didn't go through with flattening my chest, it would be fuel for their argument that I was never really trans to begin with. Because of this, openly questioning surgery almost felt the same as committing to it. It felt like once I put out there that I was even thinking about it, I'd be trapped into doing it. Which is bullshit, because first, physically transitioning doesn't make a person trans. It's not a requirement. There are tons of trans guys who don't want, for example, bottom surgery, and they're still guys. And trans feminine folks who maybe want to start estrogen but can't afford it are still trans. If I were to change my mind about top surgery, I'd still be trans because I don't identify exclusively as the gender I was assigned at birth. And that's all it takes to be trans. Boom. And second, some people need a little time and maybe some experimentation in order to find out what's right for them. Not all of us came out of the womb knowing exactly what we need to do. Sometimes we have to try things or think about things. And when we do this, sometimes we like the things, which is great. Other times we don't like them. It's less fun, but it happens. That's the nature of trying. Otherwise, trying would just be doing. Learning that we don't like something or something's not for us can be less awesome than liking something or finding something that works really well for who we are, but it's still valuable because we're getting to know ourselves more. Thus, there shouldn't be shame attached to trying out new pronouns, a new name, a different style or expression, and concluding that the thing you tried is not for you. Now, when it comes to wondering about top surgery, it turns out that I didn't change my mind. Like I said, I'm just a couple weeks away from the chop, and I'm 99.9% certain it's what I need. But if we live in a multiverse, then there's a non-binary Ash out there who did decide to change their mind about having top surgery. And good for them! They are just as trans, their decision is just as honorable, and there is nothing wrong with them for having talked it out with people. Because in this universe, exploring and having conversations with my therapist, my trans friends, my partner, and online peers massively aided me in making the right choice. I hate that people are shamed for trying or questioning things and then deciding against them. That's what made me feel horrible for questioning in the first place. I feared that changing my mind would have been an embarrassing outcome. Because of this, I wanted to make a video telling you what I needed to hear back then. I'm giving you permission to question stuff. It's okay. You can wonder, hypothetical, explore, experiment. You can try shit on and not be sure. None of these things make your identity any less valid. And you are free to change your mind about anything at any time. Questioning whether a choice is right for you does not trap you into it. In fact, I think the idea that we must be sure is what might actually lead some people down the wrong path. I don't know if I should start hormones. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. If I bring up that I'm on the fence, I feel like my friends might judge me. I'm just gonna do it and convince myself that I'm totally sure. And I'll tell everyone that it's definitely without a doubt what I want. Here we go! I'd like to note, though, that if what you're questioning or wondering about results in an irreversible change, it's important to be very thoughtful. I encourage you not to be controlled by impulse or whim, and find smart folks to talk through what the permanent results would look and feel like for you. Also, take your time. Just to illustrate that questioning and changing our minds can be a natural occurrence, here are some gorgeous people to tell you about the time they tried something out and ended up deciding against it.
So growing up, I was never necessarily interested in sexuality in general, least of all my own sexuality. But last summer, I saw, why not? Why don't I explore this? Why don't I explore if I'm bi? And through exploring that, I changed my mind and realized that why I was never interested in sexuality growing up, because I'm asexual. So that worked out pretty well, I guess.
Towards the beginning of the time that I was trying to figure out my gender and sexuality, I thought that I identified as asexual, but as I've come to terms with my gender and sexuality, I've realized that I was more uncomfortable with myself and how I was seeing myself and how others saw me, as well as the relationships that I was in, and instead I'm just a big old genderqueer pancake.
The first person I came out as trans to, they offered to let me try a different name, so I tried it for 2 months, and then I changed my mind. It just wasn't for me. It didn't feel right. And I thought that maybe if this name didn't work, maybe I'd just stop trying. But 6 months later, when I'd gathered up my courage, I asked to be known as a different name. So my name is Ray.
I came out as gay 4 years ago because I wanted to identify something. I felt like that was right at the time, and I saw a lot of stigma against bisexuality, and I didn't want that. But it's been kind of nagging at me for the last many years, and I've noticed attraction to females definitely, but also males and non-binary people. And so I feel like pan or bisexuality might describe my orientation better, so maybe I'll go with that for a while.
At 17, I came out as lesbian to myself and a few close friends. I changed my mind a couple years later when I started falling for my guy best friend. We dated for almost a year, and it broke both of our hearts, but I changed my mind again. We are fluid people, and that's one of the things that makes us so beautiful. I'm still here and queer as ever.
I have a journal entry from roughly 3 years ago that states, I will never go on testosterone. At the time, I believed that as a transmasculine person who wasn't completely binary, that's not something I needed or was really allowed to do. Over time, I realized that I needed top surgery and I needed testosterone, and I changed my mind. I decided to go on testosterone. I've been on for a year and a half. I'm 2 months post-op, and I am incredibly happy that I did change my mind and did make those steps to make myself actually feel comfortable.
I assumed, since I like dressing in a more masculine way, and I like things that were typically seen as more masculine, that I had to be a trans guy. So I went with that label for about 2 years, but for some reason it just didn't feel right. And I realized that I can be a girl and dress in an androgynous way. So now I identify as a cis lesbian.
1 year after I came out as non-binary, I started feeling like no one would take me seriously if I kept presenting as feminine. Society expects non-binary people to be androgynous. So I shaved my hair, I started binding, and I ditched all of my dresses and makeup, and I was miserable. So I changed my mind. My presentation does not determine my gender. I'm feminine and I'm non-binary.
So I don't really feel like a girl and I don't really feel like a boy, but for the majority of my life I've had long hair, so people have always just perceived me to be a girl, which I was okay with up until about last summer when I was like, no, I'm non-binary, which I guess means I need to cut my hair, so I shaved it all off in August, but it just looked really awful and didn't feel like me at all, so I've been spending the last 10 months trying to grow it out, and I feel so much more comfortable with long hair, so I've changed my mind. My name's Mikey. I have they, them pronouns. I just recently came out, like, literally today and yesterday. Ugh, stressed. I've been going back and forth between my sexuality for years now. I came out as pan when I was in 7th grade, and then in 8th and 9th grade I thought I was ace, and then I changed my mind and I was like, no, I like everybody and I like sex. Then time went by and then I dated guys and I just didn't like sex, and then I was so confused and I thought that I was like a lesbian, but then I was like, well, I'm not even a girl, so like what? I've changed my mind on many different occasions, and then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't need a label. I'm me, and I think that's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Hi, my name is Brendan. At this current day and age, at this current point in time, I use he, him pronouns, and that's what's good for me. About 2 years ago, I identified as a gender fluid person. I use they, them pronouns, and at that point in time, that was what was good for me. I enjoyed using them. I loved being able to exist outside of the binary and just be able to be myself. As time has passed, however, I've found myself deviating from feminine stuff, from using she, her pronouns, from IDing as a girl, and moving more towards the masculine side of the spectrum, and I found myself a lot more comfortable using he, him pronouns and identifying as a trans man, or as a man in general. So as time has passed, it's been made apparent to me that that's what I like, and that's all I need to know, because if people don't like it, so be it. It's not their life. It's mine.
My name is Julia, and I recently started identifying as a demigirl, and because I found out that I was part of like the non-binary umbrella, I thought, I should probably use they, them pronouns. Turns out I don't really like them. I didn't think I wouldn't, but I don't, and I don't really like she or he either, so I just started to identifying with neo-pronouns. However, I'm still in the process of changing my mind, and I only let 2 very close friends I feel safe around use them, and right now, that's working out just fine. I still have to figure out what works for me, and I'm trying to deal with the fact that that's okay.
Hey there, I'm Sai, and besides this camera angle, here are 3 things I've changed my mind about. 1, my eyes. I used to despise them because they don't work the way that I wanted them to. And now I've accepted that that is not a personality flaw. So I've changed my mind about that. Not sure how, it's just happened. The second thing I've changed my mind on is wearing a binder. It turns out it's really uncomfortable and it was expensive. I think I will get top surgery in the future. And the third thing, I had a birth name that was very masculine. It had multiple meanings in languages and genders. And I changed my mind because I found a better name. I tried it ordering a drink and at a medical station, and I just liked how that felt better. It's more me.
Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about all of this. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Okay, bye!
Hey there, ho there, before you go there, don't forget to click that link. The YouTube algorithm works in very strange ways. A click's the best way to give Ash Hardell your praise. So hey ho, before you go, don't forget to click that link.